Warning. The following program is a satirical look at Indigenous news, politics, and current events. Reconciliation is advised.
Anin, bonjour, tansei, hello, and welcome to The Laughing Drum, my friends. Television is so profoundly Indigenous, your eyeballs become status Indians just by watching. We've got an exciting show tonight. The Red Power panel is here once again, and they are ready to go. But first, let's see what's been happening on the news. All right, Kinder Morgan Canada has got your back. The company behind a controversial and fiercely opposed pipeline expansion got some breathless, sweat-soaked and desperate-sounding reassurance in the form of a press conference with Federal Finance Minister Bill Morneau.
It was a signal to shareholders that a white knight is ready to save them from unexpected investment risk in the event the $7 billion pipeline is hit with costly delays caused by the BC government. Here is the white knight himself, Finance Minister Bill Morneau, extending a government lifeline to the project.
We're willing to indemnify the Trans Mountain Expansion project against unnecessary delays that are politically motivated.
Morneau's money-back guarantee only covers the actions of the BC government, not environmental protests or legal challenges from First Nations.
Yeah, because if it's one of those pesky First Nations that are causing the delay, then Canada and Kinder Morgan want them to pay, which is actually what's happening to the Tsleil-Waututh Nation in BC, who dared to launch a legal challenge that Canada hadn't fully consulted Indigenous people before greenlighting the project. Because of the delays caused by that case, Kinder Morgan, one of the largest oil companies in the world, worth billions of dollars, remember, wants the tiny Tsleil-Waututh Nation to pay for its legal fees. Think about that. That's like a bully suing their victim because they hurt their hand when pummeling them. There's actually an old Ojibwe word for that. Bullshit. In Nova Scotia, Mount St. Vincent University is under fire for hiring a non-Indigenous professor to teach that institution's first class about the history of residential schools. Check this out.
This professor is very accomplished and very qualified academically to talk about this topic. She has been studying Atlantic Canadian First Nations for years. She also has a specialization in the experience of 20th century Indigenous women. And so she is academically qualified, but some people are saying that it should be Indigenous people who are telling and teaching the stories of Indigenous experiences.
Won't someone think of the reconciliation? I mean, I kind of see their point on this. Non-Indigenous people were the architects of residential schools. Who better to teach about their history, right? Or you could actually just make a bit of an effort to find an Indigenous professor who can teach this course, because they do exist. You know, either or. In jolly old England, the home of fish and chips, warm beer, and global colonization, the royals are preparing for a royal wedding.
We're so excited. My head's spinning. I can't wait for Saturday, the 19th of May, because it's a very special wedding of Prince Harry and Meghan, and we congratulate them as husband and wife. And Meghan's made history. It's the first mixed race to be a member of the royal family, and her mother walking her down the aisle. God bless you, Harry and Meghan. And God bless you always.
Yeah, I guess my invite got lost in the mail. To mark the blessed occasion, Canada has sent a fully grown Indigenous man as a gift to the royal couple. He looks pretty excited. We have to take a short break, but when we come back, the Red Power panel will be here. Don't touch the dial on your antique black and white TV. All right, welcome back to The Laughing Drum, my friends. I am your host, Tim Fontaine, and I am here with the Red Power panel. And Dave, if you're watching, it's Red Power panel, not Red Powwow panel. Although Red Powwow panel is kind of a cool title, too. And this week, the Red Power panel is the Geronimo of Elvis impersonators, Gary the Big Bear Barrett. The pride of the Couchiching First Nation, Alyssa, the comedy vixen Kixon.
Yes.
And comedy newcomer and the Drew Barrymore of Indigenous actors, Don Lapan. Welcome to you all. All right, guys. A Squamish man. We're going to start in BC, where a Squamish man is running for mayor of Vancouver, one of Canada's largest cities, and it could be actually that city's first Indigenous mayor, if obviously after they win. Red Power Panel, is it time? And how time is it?
It's a little delayed time, I would say. I feel like we've been here long enough where we should have been mayor somewhere.
Well,
we are here, Winnipeg.
Oh, right. Oops, sorry, Bowman.
Mr. Bowman, if you're watching, and I know you are watching, sorry, man.
You should have that beaded jacket.
Well, he doesn't wear a sash, though. I don't know if he's sash Métis or if he's Métis. I don't know.
Or if he's just like,
maybe
okay.
His ancestors shook hand with an Indigenous person at some point.
At some point.
There's a lot of that. Jerry, what do you think? Is it time for an Indigenous mayor of Canada's biggest cities?
Well, of course it is.
Yeah?
It's 2018. It's 2018, and there should be, actually, it would be an honor to have an Indigenous person as your mayor, but well, you know, it's who cares if he gets the votes, he or she gets the votes and gets into office, has the best best thoughts for the city. Why not?
Yeah.
He's woke. He's lit.
He's lit.
AF. God bless him.
Don, how important is it to have an Indigenous mayor?
It's about time.
Yeah?
It's totally about time. And there is a broad and diverse community in Vancouver, which I think would be very supportive of him coming into power like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to ask, what do you think his chances are? I mean, Vancouver is a fairly well, it is quite a multicultural city, actually. Indigenous people, maybe just a small portion of that, statistically.
Yeah.
You know, what do you think his chances are? Could an Indigenous person appeal to a broad range of people like that?
I feel like that could happen, especially with all the sort of like liberal allies who are like, I'm sorry about the hands. I'm an ally. I get like more points on my ally resume.
Your ally card?
My ally card. I'm almost woke.
You think so? Jerry, what do you think?
Well, you know, I think it is time, and how many Indigenous leaders, chiefs have existed in that territory since the beginning of time, you know? So now suddenly it's 2018, and now because we have the internet and people are, can communicate a lot faster, now here's a new idea to put on the internet, an Indigenous person as mayor. Of course they should be mayor.
Practically, though, like in terms of what you might get out of having, like it's one thing if we had an Indigenous, I don't know, Indigenous Affairs Minister or something like that, or an Indigenous chief, obviously. Yeah. But what difference would an Indigenous mayor make, do you think?
Well, first of all, I'd declare the Vancouver to be an urban reserve, the entire city.
Yeah.
And then we'd start from there.
Yeah.
And see where that gets me. Free bannock for everybody, for one thing.
There we go.
I think it would be great for the city on a global perspective. I think the world would look at it and say, okay, this is a pretty hip place to be, and why not? Winnipeg did it, so why can't Vancouver?
And actually, we are considered quite a hip city,
Go Jets, go!
Go Jets,
go!
go!
Jets, go!
Yeah. Don, what do you think?
Well,
Indigenous mayor, how important is that?
I think it's super important to have an Indigenous mayor in this day and age. It's all about representation, and if we're going to continue to have our voices heard in different realms and scopes and communities and stuff like that, then we have to be present there.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, there'll be a black president of the United States. Wait a minute, that happened.
Wait a second, that can happen. And he killed more people with drones than any other president before him.
Well,
there's give and take.
Yeah.
Alyssa, you're a parent.
Yes.
Your children,
Yes.
would they be moved by seeing somebody who's visibly Indigenous in power?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
No, I feel like right now at this time, visible representation is more important than anything right now. I think it's so important, especially with Colton Bushy and Tina Fontaine, for the youth to see our people as leaders, as figureheads, as decision makers, making a difference in their cities, in their towns, in the country. I think it's so important for our kids to see it. And, you know, instead of us just blindly saying you can be whatever you want to be as long as, you know, you put your heart and mind into it, but for them to actually see it as a reality for them, I think that's so important right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wob canoe.
There.
Oh my God, I'm speaking in tongues or something. I think I'm having a stroke. No, Wob canoe, look at that. There you go. Your NDP leader here in the province of Manitoba. And of course, people made a big, you know, they were digging for all kinds of negative stuff, but he got the votes, and there you go. And I think the leader of a provincial political party is probably bigger than being the mayor of any city.
Yeah, there's even, I think there's a broader appeal that has to happen there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he is good looking.
Well, he does have that.
Not that I'm a two-spirited person, but I'm saying
well, you know what?
I enjoy his looks.
It's okay to admire somebody's...
Well, look at you today,
well,
for
there we
goodness
go.
sakes.
You know, I'm a beautiful creature. I transcend gender.
You do.
You know?
Is that what's going on here?
I think
all right.
so. Good. All right. Let's have some fun here.
Yes.
And let's get serious at the same time.
Oh, dear.
Okay.
We'll start with Dawn.
Okay.
Let's say you are elected mayor tomorrow of a massive city. Doesn't matter which one. What's going to be
mayor, not the
first
queen?
act?
I would declare all citizens my spirit cousin, and then they would owe me $5.
Is that all?
Well, no. It's a start, though.
Yeah.
And then others, like serious stuff, like as a mayor?
No, I don't know. It doesn't matter. Would you destroy anybody? Or?
Would I destroy anybody?
Because I would. There's lots of people I would destroy if I was mayor. You know?
Not yet.
Looking at you.
I'd have to learn how to be sneaky and conniving, and I'm just too brutally honest. Yeah.
Alyssa, what about you? You're elected mayor of Elissaville. What's the first thing you're going to do?
The first thing I am going to do is save RFO's jacket from its terrible prison. Possibly
It's terrible prison.
Or pay for RFO to come out of the sunken place. Like, get out.
Get out. Jerry the Big Bear Barrett, you're elected mayor of Barrettville.
Mm-hmm.
What are you going to do?
I would walk among the people.
That's very humble of you.
Thank you. I would venture out. Unlike some of the leaders, if like Bowman here, the mayor of Winnipeg, how often does he visit the homeless shelters? How often does he go and visit the shut-ins and the people, the downtrodden? That's what I would do. I wouldn't look at Donald Trump. Does he? He doesn't even know anything about homeless people.
I think he's never actually seen a homeless person.
I don't think so. And that's what I would do. I would have more programs and invest and investigate a lot of the missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls. Yeah. I would look at that in my city and try to do something positive.
All right, quickly, we got to take a break. Who would you destroy then? You got to answer, man.
Okay. Let's see now. There's a whole list in the city.
He seems happy, but he's a very angry man.
There is a list.
There is a list.
You know, if I was up in a church tower with a gun, they'd say, well, they would say, you know, what? Well,
let's leave it there. When we come back, we'll have more with the Red Power panel. Don't
Too
go
much
away.
power,
Too
maybe.
much power, maybe. He's wielding it like a weapon.
Did you know we got the social medias?
Don't lie.
It's true. Like the Laughing Drum on Facebook and follow us on Twitter right now.
That accent will live forever. Welcome back to the Laughing Drum, my friends. I am here with the Red Power panel, and they are ready to take the truth, wrap it in smoked hide, and decorate it with porcupine quills. My friends, we go now to the world of Nova Scotia and the world of academia. A non-Indigenous professor has been chosen to teach Mount St. Vincent University's first ever dedicated class to residential schools. But because they're non-Indigenous, outrage soon followed, since many thought an Indigenous person should do it, even though that non-Indigenous prof is academically qualified, having studied Indigenous people for many years. What are your first thoughts on this Red Power panel?
Oh, heck. Really? We're going there. we're going there. Here's where we're going.
Yes, let's do it.
Okay, like I like a lot of things.
Yeah.
You know, I like hip hop music. I've listened to it all my life, but I'm not about to, you know, release my next hip hop album because it's something that I've listened to my entire life. It's not really like I'm not a part of the hip hop culture.
Eminem did it.
Pardon me?
Eminem did it.
Eminem did it, but should he have? That's the question. I feel like it is like really we have to have this discussion in 2018. Like it's just everything wrong with academia. Just right in that one example.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jerry, we talked about this on the show before, and you were not supportive of, but you're a little on the fence about whether Indigenous people could take spaces like that. How are you feeling about this particular instance?
Well, again, do you have to be Jewish to teach about the Holocaust? Do you have to be, I don't know. The thing is, it's not going to be all Indigenous people that are going to be learning about the residential schools when you take this particular course. Mm-hmm. Would I want a doctor to teach me how to perform surgery? Yeah, that would help, I suppose. But I don't, the person obviously that's going to be teaching it has taken courses and they have, I would think, a passion for Indigenous studies. They've probably been to communities to look around.
Yeah, for
see
what
what's
I
going
understand,
on. But they're going to have guests.
Yeah.
What I would have is guests. And Murray Sinclair can't do everything. He can't be everywhere all at once.
Yes, he can. Don, what are your thoughts on this?
I think that if you're as an amazing a professional as this teacher is, then she should be creating space for others to come in behind her. And so even if she was to be a mentor to an Indigenous professor. Because what's going to happen when the first Indigenous student of that course challenges the Caucasian professor? Will that Indigenous student be honored? Or will they be challenged back and then be faced in that situation where an entire classroom plus the professor could gang up on them? Would I be allowed to teach a white supremacist class? Do you think I would be just as supported as this person to go and teach a white supremacist class?
If you were teaching how to, probably not. But that was the thing. I mean, in the States, there was a similar controversy where a university was teaching a course about whiteness, which is not white supremacy, and it's about the world of whiteness, right? About white supremacy, and I don't think it was a white person that was teaching that course.
Nice.
Yeah. So I think
if there's balance, then it's okay.
But again, I think for me, it's like, so let's say they find an Indigenous professor to teach this course for the very first time. Mm-hmm. Going forward, is there space for that? Like, Jerry, I know how you feel about this, but is there places for non-Indigenous people to teach stuff like this?
To teach Indigenous stuff?
Studies, yeah.
I'm really on the fence about that because I feel like our spaces get invaded so much. I mean, look at Canada. Hello. I feel like, with all the education that's finally coming out, because when I was in school, we still had the word savage in our textbooks. Wow. We still had residential schools being taught as a good thing. So for us to be moving forward, I feel like it should be us at the forefront of it. Mm-hmm. It should be us leading the way, not, the white do-gooders, teaching these classes and teaching our people about our own history. I mean, as educated as they could be, that's great. I'm glad white people should be educated about our history. But I feel like to be in a teaching position, to be in a leader position, I think it's a little distasteful for them to be taking those spaces where our representation is needed even more, especially during this time.
It would be interesting to see if elders are have spoken to this professor and given them some advice and some guidance before taking the first class. For instance, there's no way in hell that I could teach sex education. I would not be. I don't know anything about it. I don't know the difference between a bird and a bee. So I mean,
he doesn't know how that works.
You answered my next question, which was going to be, if you could bullshit your way into any course and teach something you know nothing about but could probably fake it, what would it be, Alyssa?
Engineering.
Yeah?
Engineering.
You could fake your way through?
Oh, I could totally fake my way through it.
Have you ever put up a teepee?
I've put up a tent.
Oh.
You are more than qualified.
I play Jenga on the daily.
I'm pitching a tent right now. But
that's a pocket Jenga.
I, as an Indigenous woman in Winnipeg, I have to maneuver my way around the city with the least amount of harm. I feel like some engineering skill is required to do that. So yes, I could.
Don, you're going to teach a course you know nothing about. What's it going to be?
Does it have to be a real course?
Yeah. Or you can make one up.
Okay, the course I would make up would be the darkness. I would be teaching things about the darkness, and it would just be about, all those heavy, deep, depressing thoughts, and then make light of it, but be calling it the darkness. Yes, open each class.
I can see that being actually really popular. There'd be a lot of people.
Sounds like theater arts.
Yeah.
Theater arts in my high school was just a dark room, and the kids sat in there and they'd moan and groan. I don't know. I think they were acting. I don't know.
What kind of school did you go to? All right, we don't have a lot of time left, so I'm going to ask you to do one thing. As you know, Meghan Markle, Prince Harry were married in merry old England this past week. I want you guys to look at the camera, and I want you to send them a message of congratulations or any message that you want. Jerry, let's start with you. You're speaking to Meghan Markle. Well, I don't think she's Markle anymore. You're speaking to Prince Harry, the new royal couple.
Hello, my children. Do give room for each other in your everyday lives, in the kitchen, and especially in the bedroom. Go. Royal babies.
Royal babies. Alyssa, your turn.
I've been feeling a lot of connection to the royal family, actually, and I feel like the ancestors have given me the Queen's spirit name. So here it comes. Ooh. Chi. Boogets. Weenak is your spirit name, my dear Queen.
Those of you out there who have Ojibwe friends, ask them to translate that, and you'll know what the name means. It's a very honorable name. Don, message to the royals. Such a wonderful occasion. One, we're bound by treaty. What are you going to say to them?
Bound by treaty?
Yeah.
Lean on your spiritual family and keep the devil out of your marriage. And don't forget to clean your jisk. It's important.
There's a lot of inside Nietzsche humor here. It's just very sage advice. That's all the time we have for this week. Royal family, congratulations. You've got some wonderful advice here from the Red Power panel. We'll see you back here next Tuesday.